Hi, I'm creating this video to invite you to the third of our 3 C's workshops in regard to entrepreneurial-minded learning from the Keen Network grant that we received this past year. And I'm sorry, there's something coming in. There's some sort of news alert coming across the screen. And these are details that are just emerging. My understanding is that there is a cool workshop coming in. Yes, this cool workshop is being developed by the St. Thomas Engineering faculty, and my understanding is that this cool workshop will be January 19th and 20th next month. So yes, yeah, and this is what I'm talking about now. You'll need to sign up for this workshop, RSVP, with the email that's attached to this video link. But the workshop will be about creating value, which is the third of the 3 C's. We've had a workshop on curiosity, in terms of encouraging curiosity and what are the impediments to curiosity in our students, as well as a workshop this summer on connections involving structured problem solving, creative problem solving, as well as functional modeling. And this third workshop is going to be about creating value, which will be the third C in what we're calling our transformation machine. And what I want to spend the next 10 minutes doing is giving a tee up to this workshop, and hopefully through this workshop encouraging your attendance, as well as inspiring you in your thinking about what we could do together. I want to remind everyone that our vision here is that we will be a nationally recognized leader for innovation in undergraduate engineering experience. And I guess you have to ask yourself, well, what does that mean? What are we doing? What are we putting inside of our educational experience that will truly create this recognition as an innovator in undergraduate engineering experience? And I want you to recall that when we left our last meeting in August, we were talking about our transformation machine. And that transformation machine was about, what do we put inside of this experience, this box, that will take this student who is thinking about attending St. Thomas and transform them into the St. Thomas engineer that we desire? And now a lot of thinking goes into what's inside of this box. And I want to tell you right now that we've joined a network of schools that are thinking very much about this undergraduate engineering experience, and particularly in relationship to what's called entrepreneurial-minded learning. And that network is broad. It consists of universities across the country who all believe that if we are considerate and deliberate in our work to improve the undergraduate engineering experience, that actually we can influence one of the most important attributes of this St. Thomas engineer, or engineer who emerges from our transformational machine, that they will have an entrepreneurial mindset. And I want to take a little time to think about that. I want to take a little time to talk to you about what that might mean. Remember, our transformational machine, our box, is to create the St. Thomas engineer with specific attributes. And those attributes are something that we probably share in common across the country. And that is, the attributes of a St. Thomas engineer is that they have the skills of engineering thought, of engineering thinking, and engineering action. They have the skills to collaborate with other engineers, with other people who are not engineers. They have the ability to communicate not only within engineering community, but also outside of the engineering community. In addition to that, their skill set includes the character and values that we find most important in terms of influencing what could happen. But there's more. What the Keen Network is about is not only the attributes of what I've just described, but also the attribute of an entrepreneurial mindset. And the 3 C's, which we describe in this entrepreneurial mindset, are the curiosity of our students, the understanding of the connections between problems, as well as the importance of creating value. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what those might mean to our students as we develop our own transformational machine. Now remember, if you think about the things that we put inside of our box, similar to our table 5.1, We have certain things in terms of engineering science. We have certain things in terms of hands-on and practical skills. We want to have a design experience for our students. We want to enhance their communication skills. We put in teamwork, and we put in ethics, and we put in, basically, in terms of St. Thomas, an understanding or a deep appreciation for an understanding of the human condition. Those are the things that we put into our transformation machine right now that create the St. Thomas engineer who will make a difference. And the attributes that we find important are those engineering technical skills, the practical skills for action, that hands-on understanding, as well as an experience with teamwork and the importance of collaboration, and also the skills of communication, written and oral. And as we understand our St. Thomas engineers, the values and character to truly make a difference. So these are the things. And this is why it's so important that we focus on what we put inside of this box. But what I want to convince you is there's something else missing from this skill set. And that is a mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset. And if we truly value this entrepreneurial mindset, then the question has to come back to, what else are we going to put into this box? And we've been working on this. But I want to tell you that what our network colleagues and people inside the Key Network and the Kern Family Foundation believe what could truly make a difference in influencing this important attribute of entrepreneurial mindset is an entrepreneurial-minded learning experience within our transformation machine. And it's not that different from where we've been going. In fact, the 3 C's are enhancing the curiosity of our students. How do we do that? Understanding the connections and the abstractions involved with problem solving, functional modeling, creative thinking. These are all attributes of understanding connections between problems. And finally, the true importance of creating value. It's the ultimate goal of the engineering design experience. So if we could add these elements of curiosity and connections and creating value and deliberately create curriculum which influences these things, then certainly we have an opportunity to improve the attributes and the skill set, as well as the mindset of engineers who graduate from our programs. Now I want to switch to another transformation machine, probably the most famous transformation machine ever written about, and that is, of course, Sylvester McMonkey-McBean's Star-On machine, involved with the book entitled, or the short story entitled, The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss. Now, so here we have these students entering our transformation machine, and they emerge as great engineers, as St. Thomas engineers, with the skill sets that we all have agreed that are critically important, and that is engineering technical skills, practical skills for action, that hands-on attribute of our curriculum, as well as teamwork, collaboration, communication, values, and character. And as you can see, these are directly connected to those attributes or those skills that our network colleagues in the Keen Network also value: engineering thought and action, collaboration, communication, and character. And these skills, we assume, are going to influence society, the industry in which our engineers work, the community in which they work. They could even influence their family, or even more importantly, themselves. But I want to talk a little bit about maybe another dimension, again, getting back to that entrepreneurial mindset. If we take our engineer with those great skill sets and put him out into the world, and we say, you know what, you should go be an engineer. Be an engineer in this world. And I want to describe to you like what this might look like. And typically what this looks like is that our engineers are given some very neatly packaged problems. Being an engineer is to accept a project from someone which is often neatly defined, not amorphous and not ambiguous. It has limits and goals that are typically provided to our young engineering students specifically. But I want to note that mostly, for the most part, the connections of this project to the world are often masked, that they're not revealed in their full glory or their full context. And that limits the engineer's ability to truly solve the best problem. or solve or come to the right solution maybe. So these projects come in, often neatly packaged to our engineer in this cubicle or in her cubicle. And of course, what that engineer does is then immediately inserts that neat project into the tool that they know best, and that is the engineering design process. And they know this very well from their design experience at St. Thomas. They insert the neat project into the process. It circles around the process, maybe a few iterations, getting some input from customers, iterating the design, improving it, brainstorming, all of those things which are important. And of course, our engineer emerges with a neatly wrapped gift that it wants to present back to the world. But the question, of course, is that final design truly of value to the world? Truly of impactful value? And that question is very strong. It remains with us always, because engineers are not often given the context of their work, the connections of what this solved problem truly means to the world. It's cloaked. And so what we want to do is maybe create a different kind of engineer. And I want to borrow specifically from Scott Hummel, at the Dean of Engineering at Lafayette, who talked about a stream of opportunities that should be availed to any engineer. They should see the world differently than simply projects being handed to them or her. And that there's a stream of opportunities, stream of possibilities continuously passing in front of this very aware and curious engineer. And sometimes those problems, that stream may be from work, or some of those streams may be from society, or some of those streams may be from their family or their community. But there are multiple streams of opportunities and possibilities that are passing in front of this engineer. And that engineer has a certain mindset to look into this stream of problems, a stream of opportunities and possibilities, and then hopefully, more importantly, identify them. And typically, that starts with a question. And if you go back to our workshop on curiosity, we identified how important the art of questioning is. And I want you to think for a moment about that art of questioning. Because for a moment, if you have a good ability or a mindset to question those things around you, that what really and truly happens is that the world stops for a minute. That curiosity-driven question pauses that observation of the stream of opportunities, and it lifts that observation out in front of you and freezes it for a moment. And at that single moment, what you're already doing is you're starting to define the limits of the problem. And so often, soon an engineer with this right mindset of curiosity realizes that problems are not neatly defined, that they're often intertangled and intermingled. They are not unrelated to other issues. They are not disconnected. That the strands that usually these possibilities have when it's identified quickly show that these problems, these opportunities, these possibilities are often much more complex than we originally thought. And so an engineer who has curiosity can pull these somewhat complex problems out of the stream of possibilities and then freeze them for a moment and allow this problem solving to start. And then the engineer can take this complex problem, this interconnected problem, this amorphous problem, and inject it into his and her design cycle. And that's where real solutions start. But I want to talk to you about another attribute that's more, even increasingly important. That once this problem starts to become identified, that we quickly realize that it is an understanding of the connections, the interentanglement, the similarity of these problems or this particular opportunity to others that will really accelerate or amplify this design cycle and the process and the impact that it will have. So it's not only curiosity that really identifies the problem, but it's also connections which drive it towards the right solution. Connections involves a mindset of abstraction and systems thinking and the ability to draw on resources to gain perspective. That is a mindset that is equally important to curiosity in driving the design cycle towards a valued solution. And finally, the engineer must understand that it is not just curiosity and connections, but the ultimate goal is to create value for society and the common good. If we could instill these 3 C's into the design cycle that we have known, then I think what we're going to do is create another attribute that's equally important to this skill set introduction. Equally important, if not even more important, to amplify this design cycle. Curiosity, connections, and creating value. So let's go back to our transformation machine that we all identify as being very important. This great engineer, this great St. Thomas engineer, this Starbelly Sneetch is going to impact society, community, family, and work. And we have to decide what we're going to put into our transformation machine. I think we all agree on the basics, the skill set, the engineering technical skills, the practical skills, the teamwork, collaboration, communications, and the values and character. But I would like to add one more attribute, and that is an entrepreneurial mindset. So what are we going to put into our transformation machine? And that's what we're going to be talking about next month. Putting entrepreneurial mind in learning. We've talked about curiosity. We've talked about connections. We've talked about, now we'll be talking about the ultimate goal of creating value. So what I want to do is I want to invite you again. We have had our workshop on curiosity. We've had our workshop on connections and functional modeling and creative problem solving. And now what we're going to be talking about is creating value through this mechanism we call our transformation machine. So with that, I want to thank you for this brief introduction to the video or to the conference and workshop. It will be outstanding. I've heard the streaming is still that there is going to be a cool workshop, and I've also heard that we'll be on January 19th and 20th. So hope to see you there. Sign up with the RSVP, and let's have some fun understanding entrepreneurial minded learning.